How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hope everyone's having a lovely day. So we're on day two. As of the making of this video, the Bengals have been extremely quiet on day two of free agency. Of course, everything can change. We could, my luck halfway through the video, Bengals signed two players, big names, whatever. But right now, we're kind of looking at things a little restless, a little questioning what the direction the Bengals is going, and say, hey, let's talk about this vision. Because if you really break things down, I think a lot of it can make sense in essence what the Bengals are doing. Because you just watch historically what they do. This is a team that has always tried to, in free agency, they try to, you call them budget players, but I try to call them under the radar players. They try to find these positions that may be a little bit more watered down. They may be a little bit more overlooked. They go in and scoop these guys up and bring them on team-friendly deals, whether it be short-term 2-year deals, 3-year deals, kind of seasons guys where like, teams might be kind of sketchy about him long-term. We can scoop him in, give him a chance to play his best. Almost bridge year type of contract, bridge contracts for some of these guys to kind of prove themselves. And other guys that just might be in a very heavily diluted position in free agency, then go after and get them on a good deal. Historically, we've kind of seen the Bengals try to trek in that direction. This season, we know the big story. The big three need signed. Trey Hendrickson, the only pass rusher this team has. So far, we're in day two, and there has been not even a hint, not even a whisper that the Bengals are going after a pass rusher in free agency. Of course, without question, besides guard, the two biggest positions of need, and they have not attacked either position. And that's where you stop and say, oh, what is this plan? Bengals go out and sign Slayton, a dude that is a 1 sack per season machine. I've said this a couple of times now. I think a lot of people are kind of like, well, what are we going to do if they got 1 sack all season at defense attack? What are we going to do with 1 sack? Just a reminder, he's a pure run stopper. Just a reminder that Domata Peko was the centerpiece of this defensive line for a long time when it was dominant in the trenches. Peko, over 15 years, had 20 career sacks. Not his job. Well, it can be his job, but for the most part, your average everyday nose tackle, it's not their job until you get to be the elite of the elite, and you're not getting the elite of the elite in free agency, quite frankly. So what he's here to do is what he's going to do what he's asked to do here. The thing is, that didn't fix the pass rush, and I think you look at the Bengals here and you kind of look at the vision and say, hey, there's certain positions in free agency you can attack, and there's certain positions that are of premium that you kind of overpay for. Guys are getting closer to 30. Guys are over 30. You have to worry about the decline. You have to worry about overpaying. Pass rusher can very much be that position. So you say, hey, let's load up on the positions where we can get in, bring in a more of a budget-friendly deal. We feel more confident about them in the long term. Cheaper contracts. Defensive tackle kind of often goes overlooked. Usually the guard position kind of goes overlooked. This season, a little bit more of a premium. So we'll see if the Bengals attack. I think they have to find somebody. They have to find at least one average plus guy to kind of plug in there, build a little bit of continuity to this team for, build a 3-4 year contract, get some continuity to this line, and just have a little bit of stability, because you don't want to go into the draft essentially having two holes there. I know they believe in Ford, they believe in Bolson taking one of those spots. So it's like, if you can upgrade one of those positions and then go into the draft one and have the other two battle out, that would work ideally. But looking at what you would think the Bengals are looking at here is saying, hey, we can go take care of linebacker, for example, in free agency, use it a little bit more budget friendly. We can take care of linebacker in free agency. We can take care of tackle and interior defensive line in free agency. And if we can go heavy pass rush in the draft, if we can go heavy interior offensive line, we know going into the draft, we can hammer these two positions in a first and second round. That would be more than ideal, because again, if you can get usually guards slip a lot further than the tackles. It's like, hey, if you can find a way to get a guard in the second round and plug and play him to start year one, if you can get a dominant pass rusher in the first round, plug and play him day one, that is the best perfect case scenario, because now you have 4 years of service, you have 5 years of service out of these guys on draft contracts, and you have a chance to build around these guys that are, again, on very team-friendly deals. You have a chance to really move the needle, because that's what it's all about in football. Free agency is not going to win you a Super Bowl. It can, I guess I shouldn't say that. It's part of the equation. But if you're depending only on free agency to win a Super Bowl, it's not going to happen. You have to be able to bring in drafted players with talent that can give you value. Because free agents aren't value for the most part. Most of the time, they're playing what you're giving them, what they're worth, or more than what they're worth. Draft picks, of course. You draft this guy in the second round, and he's an All-Pro year 2. You're getting a $25-30 million player for 10% of that. So it's a huge value, and that's how you kind of make the most of your team. And I think if you look at the Bengals and say, hey, if that's the vision, trying to attack the premium positions, because again, hey. Jesse Bates, I hate to say it, Jesse Bates, prime example though. You draft one of the best safeties in the league in the first round. That's great. 18-20 million a year is his value. If you draft one of the best defensive ends in the league, $30-40 million a year is his value. So you can see how if you can attack the premium positions in the draft and hit on them, you have to hit on them, and then you fill things in around them. Pretty good formula of success. The Bengals just, again, how would we look at my question is, how do we look at the Bengals free agency if they hit on any of these players in a draft? They've attacked the defensive line a couple of times. If they hit on these defensive line players, these offensive line players, if they hit on those players, and then you go to the free agency and you just, again, you nitpick, you find a couple players here, a couple players there to kind of complement these guys, to fill out some voids, you probably look at the Bengals free agency a whole lot differently. They got it. They have to find a way to hit on the draft. And then you can see the vision come together if that's where the Bengals are leaning. Nonetheless, as always, love y'all's thoughts. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.